All right. Hey, everyone. You are live with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Lanier, and this is the place to live bold, create more, and impact your world. And every Thursday, I get to speak to an entrepreneur, visionary, just an all around extraordinary individual that's doing big things. And they're going to share with you how they're impacting your world and what's impacting theirs. And today, I'm so excited to have a good friend of mine, Mario Brown, on the line with me today. Hey, Mario, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. I mean, Mario is doing some amazing things in internet marketing, and he has an amazing story that I can't wait for him to share with you all. And Mario and I actually have crossed paths, but not really, because this is our first time actually meeting or talking face to face. But we've talked a lot via the internet, social media, and we actually lived in the same city at the same time, but moved across the country at the same time to different places. But it's okay because we're still friends and we still communicate, and it's awesome. And I'm learning so much from him because he's an expert in internet marketing in the online space and is really living the life that he wants to live with his lifestyle business. So Mario, tell us a little bit of your background and just really how did you get started? Because you're not even from here, so you moved from here and started a business. So tell us
Yeah.
more.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to share. Where do I start? I'll try to keep it short because it's a long story, but just for my background really quick, I was born in Durham, North Carolina actually, but I grew up all my life in Germany. When I was like a baby, my mother took me to Germany, and my dad stayed in the States, and they always struggled with drugs. So when I grew up in Germany, I was actually in foster care for 3.5 years, and back then I thought it was like the worst thing in my life. I hated it. And actually, turns out, as so often in life, right, it was the best thing that could happen to me because it forced my mother to become clean, and it forced me actually to do my homework, and they forced me to manage money and to be more structured and not get off on the wrong track, so to speak. Then, as I got older, I decided I want to leave Germany, and I ended up in Ecuador, out of all places. European style. We want to travel and backpack, and I was there for 7 months. That's where I met my girlfriend and now wife. And after 7 months in Ecuador, I was honestly running out of cash. And the cheapest ticket from Ecuador to the States, because it's in the south, is Miami. So I took my last money, bought the ticket, and landed in Miami at the airport. One backpack, I remember it. I had about $500 or $600 to my name, no friends, no family. And to keep it short, I went to the Burger King there, and there were two Germans. I heard them talk. I told them my story. They said, number one, I'm crazy, and number two, I should go to South Beach, because that's where all the hotels are and where I could work as a bartender or front desk. And after 2 days, I found a job in Collins Avenue at the Tropics Hotel. You might, run across it. Working the night shifts, and they let me stay in the dormitories, which means you share the room with different people, which is kind of awkward, but it's expensive. But, every day some other strangers come in and spend the night in the same room, so it's kind of
So
weird.
it's like a hostel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. They call it kind of like dormitories, hostel. Yeah, it's the same thing. And true story. After 2 months, I had enough money to buy a laptop. And long story short, after wasting my time watching videos, I said, you know what? I came here for a reason. I opened the laptop and I said, how to make money online in Google. True story. That's how I got started with internet marketing. And I wish I could say after that everything was awesome. But as always, there were some struggles first, and then I overcame them. And now I never look back, honestly.
And the rest is history. Okay. Well, we're going to get more into the development, but before that, before you just, I guess we're on Google and typed in how do I make money online, did you ever think that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Did you ever want to start your own business prior to that moment?
Yeah, in a way. When I was a teenager in Germany, I definitely researched how I can work on myself or for myself, but I couldn't figure it out. It's in Germany a little bit different. There's more paperwork to do. We don't have that whole you can do it yourself mentality like in the States. And then in Ecuador, because I couldn't officially work, I had to make some money. And what I did is old school hustle. I went to they had like a German school in Ecuador. So they were teaching Ecuadorian kids German. And I went until the school was over outside in the sun, sweating, and I gave them flyers and little papers where I said I offer German classes. And I think that was like the first real opportunity where I felt like, okay, I felt like being an entrepreneur, doing, working on myself, hustling, and just making something happen.
Well, I mean, it's a beginning. I think we all have to start somewhere. And when you decide to be an entrepreneur, usually you have no idea what you're getting yourself into and what's going to come from it, right? So when you were in that moment that you decided that you even knew that you could make money online, because a lot of people still, even it's been years in the internet marketing industry, but people still don't know the many ways that they can utilize the internet to start making money. And so for you, what was one of the first things that came up in your Google search?
Wow. Back then, I think one thing that was on top was something called the Rich Jerk, which was just like an information product. And there were different websites. And I got to tell you, to be honest with you, I didn't believe right away that I can make money online. Just because I entered it, it didn't mean that I had to believe yet. But I bought a couple of products. I invested. I bought them. Some of them were literally, I don't want to say scam, but basically they were a scam. So I got burned a little bit, but I think that's part of the journey. Back then I didn't have a mentor. So it took me 3 months to really start believing it. And it took me my first sale online. It was a $7 product that I said, okay, this actually works. I think the difficult part online is to make your first dollar online. And once you see that, then you believe, and then you can, go from there and take it step by step. So it took me about 3 months until I was able to make my first $7 sale, and then it was just like, yes, let's do it. And I went hardcore and all in, and I went pretty crazy the last 5 years.
So your first product that you sold online was your own, so not an affiliate product, but just your own.
Yes, okay. I did. I tried some article marketing with Ed Dale's 30-day challenge, but I didn't have a lot of luck with that. So in the very beginning, maybe I made 1 or 2 affiliate sales, but it was nothing that I could pay my bills with or something. So I felt like, you know what, this is not fast enough. And article marketing back then, it was so difficult. You had to write all these articles and be an expert in how do you grow your hair, or I had something like how do you grow taller, or how do you jump higher for basketball, like these weird topics. So I said, you know what, and I learned from Frank Kern back then, I need to create my own product so that affiliates can actually promote me. So I have an army out there of people who like my stuff, and they do the Facebook traffic, the Google traffic, versus if you're an affiliate marketer, then you're helping someone else build their empire. And I wanted to build my own empire, so that's how I got really quickly, fortunately, into creating my own products, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So after your first product, then you just kind of caught on fire, or was it still a very a trial and error process to building out your products and getting that credibility for people to want to buy from you?
Yeah, it's still today trial and error a lot, actually. That never stops. So I always try to grow. There's new things that I'm trying, and it's always trial and error. In the beginning, it was tough. To be honest with you, I had like a much stronger accent back then, so I was very self-conscious about my accent. I didn't know PayPal. I didn't know what an autoresponder is, and I didn't know how to put it all together so that someone buys and automatically they get the product. Now, that stuff is easy with tools like Lead Pages and so forth. But back then, being new to it, I was completely overwhelmed. And I got lucky. Someone on the Warrior Forum back then, they just felt like helping me, so they helped me put together the funnel a little bit. It was a $7 PDF, and you would buy it, you would download it. It was totally not great, but people still enjoyed it and made me about $500 or $600 the first week. And I caught fire. And like after that, I just created more products, membership sites, coaching programs. Now I have my own live events. And just trying to always grow,
And so to go from making your first $7 product to your live events, how long did it take you to make your first live event?
The first live event, I would say, let's see, that took me about a year from having my first $7 product to having the guts to be in front of people. And maybe after half a year or something, when people heard about my success, I was invited to speak for the first time at the Warrior Forum event back then. That was the first time on stage, and I was so nervous, sweating, and like it was terrible. But people, as long as you're authentic, people get it, and they still support you. And then after a year, I did my own little event, and I grew them over time, and that brings a whole nother set of challenges and problems. But you know what? My mindset is that I love problems, and the bigger the problem, the more I have to grow. So I always look for a higher quality of problem. In the beginning, my problem was I didn't know what PayPal is. Now my problem is, okay, I have PayPal and merchant accounts hopefully I get so many payments that I don't know how to handle them all. That's a higher quality of problem, right? Or if I do a live event where people fly in, how do I set up a live event? So I always look for a higher quality of problem, and I try to think about problems in a positive way, and I try to attract more because it tells me I'm growing personally and my business is growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I think I picked up from you the whole imperfect action. And just taking imperfect action, constantly taking imperfect action. And I always tell my tribe the same thing. And so from your $7 product to your live event in the last 6 years, if you're growing your own empire, would you say it's a consistent imperfect action? Like you're just consistently taking imperfect action all the time, or have you perfected some of that action that you take?
It is always starting out with imperfect action. And you know what I always say is massive imperfect action. And truly, I really mean this. This is the whole secret to my success, is that most people, when they write a book or the first product or the first blog or whatever it is, they want to wait till they're ready. They want to wait till it's perfect. And I know that you know that, but anyone watching this, you know, I want to make this point again, that you can't wait till that day, because if you do that, you know, you lose out to your competition, to other people who are just putting it out there. For me, my first report was terrible. My first live event was not perfect. Even now, my new brand, Missionpreneur, it's not perfect at all, but you know what? It's good enough. So my mindset is make it good enough, put it out there, and then as you go along, then you tweak it, you get feedback from the marketplace, and then you can improve it. So I always start out with imperfect action, but then quickly I listen to the feedback from my customers, and then I tweak it, and along the way, hopefully I have a team or myself, you know, I try to perfect it. There's, you know, perfect doesn't exist, but as close as it gets to being perfect.
You just have to work on being better, like never settling and being a better you constantly, or having better products constantly, but not waiting till you think that it's better. I know for myself, I just launched my first product a week or so ago, Online Business Intensive, and I've been putting it off for months. You know, like I've acquired all of this knowledge, and I do all of this work for small businesses and other entrepreneurs, and now I'm like, I should probably make something so that I can help more people, that's not just one-on-one. And even with all the knowledge that I know that I have that I could give to others, it's still, you're like, are you ready? You know, it's am I ready to show the world that I can do this thing, or that I have this expertise? But I was just telling a group of people the other day is that you just have to do it. And how I did it, it was just really interesting, because I decided one morning, I woke up and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I don't even know how it's going to work out. I decided, I was like on my way to Vegas the very next day and decided to do a launch, which is absolutely crazy. And I wouldn't advise anyone to do it, but I know that I needed to just get it out. And whether I was going to make my sale or no sales at all, but at least I would have my first webinar. I would have like put everything out there, just so that I could get over that hurdle. And that fear for hurdle that everyone has doing something the first time. So I definitely agree with just taking the imperfect action and just moving forward, and then going back and tweaking and perfecting later.
Yeah, totally. And you know, congratulations. That's I love that. And it's you got to do more of that. You know, put your stuff out there. I mean, we all have this you know, that voice in us that we want to share, that message. And I think it's our obligation to put it out there, because, you know, there's a reason why we are on this planet, and it's up to us to figure out what that is, and then, you know, go with it. But one thing that I want to add to it is when you said you postponed it so long. It's funny, like how the closer you get to that moment where you're about to launch the book or your product, the more resistance we feel to taking that last step, and that's where so many people give up, like that last tiny bit before they put it out there. And I understand why. If you put something out there, there's fear of failure, there's fear of success, there's fear of embarrassment, there's so many fears, you know, because once you put it out there, people can judge you, and no one wants to be judged. We all want people to love us, you know, and so I get it, but you have to push through it, and you owe it to your family, to yourself, to your kids, to your future kids. You know, you want to build a legacy, and so there's no way around it. And there's this great book, The Art of War, where he talks about that, how resistance is always fighting against us, and the closer we get to success, the more resistance and fear we feel, and that's when you have to push through. And that's where I recommend find a mentor to anyone listening to this, and have someone who can kick you in the butt and push you through. And sometimes we need that, including myself. Sometimes we need someone, even to slap us in the face sometimes. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. Hey, Tiffany, hey, Mario, go do that. You know, the world needs you, and you need someone to push you through. That's how I feel about that.
No, it's true. And I always say this because everyone's at different levels. And so that's why every mentor has a mentor, every coach has a coach, because it's always a next level. And so you're never good enough to, you always need someone to push you to the next level, because we tend to tap out and we don't even see, I always say that you don't see your own mess when you're standing in it. So when you're just in the midst of it all, you can't see what someone else on the outside can be like, right there, you need to go ahead and fix that, or do this, or push forward and stop having all those mental blocks that we have. And really, it's just about getting that person that is there for you, along with yourself, because you really do have to have your own will to want to succeed, and will to want to, put yourself out there, because this is really you. This is your products, your services, and people are buying into you, essentially. So you have to want it more than anyone else, but having that little kick in the butt is always good. For sure.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
What were some of the obstacles that you faced along the way? When you first started, we always go back to that initial $7 product. Yeah. What were some of the bigger obstacles that you faced that you would, I guess, give advice to someone just getting into this industry and trying to create their own services and products, that you would encourage them to do to overcome those things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Where do I start? In the beginning, wow, there were a lot. I'm not going to tell anyone here that it's easy. It's not. Anything worth in life is, I don't think, usually it's not easy, or everything in the beginning is not really easy until you get used to it. So before I get into the technical stuff, I have to tell you that it's a lot of mindset. So in the beginning, it was limiting beliefs, and it was just not having the mindset in place. And, that's more high-level stuff. I get to the technical side in just a second. But it was really believing in myself that I can do it, that I have the skills to pull this off. And knowing why, having a strong enough why. I didn't have that back then. I just wanted to make money because I wanted to get out of the job, and that's a strong why. It helped me for a while, but then I needed a better reason. So that's like the mindset stuff. But technically, there's like, back then I literally didn't know what an autoresponder is. I didn't know how do I get someone to opt in, like physically, how to do it. How do you create a landing page? I didn't have any web design skills. Shopping cart, PayPal, copy, how do I write a sales copy? Like, what do I focus on? So there were a lot of little things that I just didn't know. And nowadays, I wish we had these tools that, back then, like lead pages, optimized press. There's now sales templates that you can use that make it so much easier for non-technical people to do it. But it was really the technical stuff, and I see it with my students. It's usually the technical stuff, the nitty-gritty, that is the biggest stumbling block for them. They have the knowledge, they have the motivation, but then they get sidetracked trying to analyze everything, learn everything, all the little nitty-gritty things, versus just pay someone $10 to get it done, or just get it done once, focus 1 week only on that one task, and then let it go and move on, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree, because I think that's where I got stuck when I first started too. I was like an autoresponder. Like what am I supposed to do with that? And so I think when you're just coming in brand new, there are a lot of technical things that you have to at least know the vocabulary of and be familiar with. But now, because there are so many tools that make it so much more accessible and so much more easier for you to get it done, but you still have to learn it enough to even hire someone else, so that when they're doing it, you know how they're doing it and what you need to tell them to get the work done properly. So it's a small, I wouldn't say small learning curve, but it's probably a large learning curve for a lot of people, especially those who aren't tech savvy at all. So as the generations above myself, even being 26, I think I'm like at the breaking point generation, where we grew up with a certain level of technology, so we're more adapt to just, getting and figuring things out. But generations after me, or generations before me, definitely there's a bigger struggle with the technology gap, and so trying to get that done. But there are so many resources and tutorials. YouTube is an amazing place full of information where you can really learn a lot of free things, but also, working with myself, working with Mario, or other trainers who have an expertise in some of these areas will help you get there faster versus waiting or trying to teach yourself even, like I did. I taught myself a lot.
Yeah,
and I tried to skip over that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it, but you know what? In the beginning, sometimes if I didn't have the resources in the beginning and you have to do it yourself, just get it done. Like one thing that I always teach my students is work hard only once. So yeah, setting up your first Facebook funnel the first time when you do it is difficult, but you only do it once and you do it right, and then you can just leverage it. The same with your first product launch, the first time you do a webinar, the first time you set up a funnel that is highly optimized, or the first time you create a landing page with the copy and the follow-up in your autoresponder. The first time it kind of sucks because it's the first time, but if you work only hard once and you do it once the right way, after that you can leverage it. Then you just focus on getting more clients, more leads, more prospects. So that's something that I want to have everyone here walk away from this call. Imperfect action, work hard only once, build the foundation, and then you're ready to go, and you just focus on getting more leads and more clients and put your content out there and inspire people and do the good stuff.
Right. And so well, we've been talking about it, but I know for a lot of internet marketers, even depending on what part of the industry you're in, they definitely want to emphasize the easiness of it all. And it's really not easy when you first get started. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, nor is it surgery. But it's definitely not the easiest thing.
Yeah.
And so I always, when I work with people, I don't like to give them that, oh, it's super easy. But it's easy once you get it done, like you said, putting in the hard work in the first time. And then after that, it is a lot easier, and you realize how much you're able to leverage your business after you put in that amount of hard work in the beginning.
Totally. For me personally right now with online marketing, I focus a lot on Facebook traffic, and I always keep things simple. So my funnel is as simple as it gets. Like someone clicks on my ad, they click on it, they come to my landing page, they opt in, and then there's a webinar for them. They watch it, and they can sign up for a strategy session. Done. Like, it's as simple as it gets. Now, it took me still a couple of days to set it up. You have to record the webinar. You have to get a couple of Facebook ads going. Maybe you have to learn about it. But now that I have it set up, I can literally just scale it and get more traffic and more prospects to more strategy sessions, and I can grow my business. I can grow Missionpreneur. And I worked hard once, and now I can scale it. So that's really the big takeaway here for people. Just like you said, that's keep it simple, imperfect action, and set the foundation, and then you're ready to rock and roll. I think the biggest mistake that people do is that they overanalyze. That's one. You definitely want to do your research. I totally agree with that. But then don't get trapped or stuck in the nitty-gritty like with Facebook. Buy the top 2 books on Facebook, get it going, implement, and then just run with it. Don't spend 6 months joining 15 different masterminds, buying every course out there. I've been there. I usually get the top 3 books, the top 3 resources, study them, implement fast, and move on. And then hopefully I have the resources to hire someone who can do it for me. If not, I just have to be, good in my time management, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, because I think that was one of my biggest issues. I remember when I first started even doing affiliate marketing, and I remember I think I made my first sale within like the first couple of days. But then I started really thinking about it. Like that part was too easy that I was able to do that, and I started really overanalyzing the process, and I stopped making sales because I started being like, well, now I need to work on my copywriting skills, and now I need to work on this, and now I need to work on that, and I started really overanalyzing every single part of the process, when it was a lot easier when I didn't know what I was doing, and I just kind of like promoted something, and I was able to make the sale because I wasn't thinking about it so hard. And so I think that whole analysis paralysis thing really is true, and it kicks in right away when you just overanalyze all these processes, when it's just keeping it simple, which is, like you said, make the ad, have the click, they opt in, watch the webinar, move forward. And that's it. Those are the pieces, and just do that.
Exactly. Because that way you create momentum. Because if you don't do that and you just keep studying and studying, it's just a cool concept in your mind. But if you take that one step and you see a lead coming in, you get all excited, you see someone attending your webinar, it's like now you have belief. You have momentum going. And then later, yes, you can tweak and, do all that cool stuff. But in the beginning, just get it out there. Like this is seriously the only secret that I have in my success, and I'm not trying to clap on my own shoulders, but I remember people who started with me like 6 years ago, and people who right now see me and they tell me like I had a pretty quick rise in the internet marketing world, and it's all because I didn't overanalyze. Now I had time frames, don't get me wrong, where a couple of months, like the last 6 months, where I started doubting some of the things that I was doing, and it's not always like this. Life is like this, so there's always moments when you have a little down, when things don't work out, but the ones that when it does work out and you do it well and you put some money aside and you have your assets and everything built, then you're ready for the rainy days. That's kind of like old school German mentality of saving and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah. Well, because I want to talk to you about lifestyle, but
yeah.
Right before we get into that, just a couple of quick marketing questions.
Sure.
What is your favorite marketing platform? Because I know you've been talking about Facebook. Is it Facebook?
In terms of traffic, or you mean just overall?
Overall and in terms of traffic.
Yeah, in traffic, I would definitely say Facebook right now, just because in a snap, I can get in front of like millions of people, literally. And like I can set up a campaign right now in 5 minutes, just make a post on my fan page, promote it, and be in front of millions of people who raised their hand and said they're interested in what I have to share. So there's no faster way that I can think of to find someone that is highly, highly targeted. Plus in Facebook, the cool thing is you can now target also by net revenue, net worth, what house do people own, so you can make sure they can actually afford your services. That's cool. I'm really excited about podcasting. I don't have my own podcast out there, but I'm working on it. So just like this interview, I'm scheduling right now interviews, and I want to get it out there. A good friend of mine, John Lee Dumas, he lives here in San Diego, making like a crazy 150K right now net profit. And I don't want to define him by what he's making net profit. He's an amazing guy, but he does it with podcasting, and it's just unheard of. And there's more people getting into that. Yeah, sorry?
I am too. No, I'm saying
yeah.
I know, because I have a friend, Chris Cerrone. He was actually on here a couple of weeks ago, and he just started podcasting probably, I don't know, 2 months ago, because he interviewed me a couple of months ago. And he has like over 100,000 downloads in like 60 days, which is killer. It's crazy.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, because you're getting into I just get excited because I'm getting into podcasting too. So just go for it.
I love it. I love it. No, and I don't have it out there, but I'm excited about it because the idea is that someone, when they go work out or they drive to work and have you in their mind, in their ear, so to speak, it's a totally different type of relationship, and they literally feel like knowing you. Even if they just listen to you for a couple of weeks, they feel like they're your friends, and if you do it the right way and you share some personal stuff too, there's a lot of bonding going on, so you build a much deeper relationship, in my opinion. And that's why I'm so excited about it. Plus, the stats are just incredible. How the cars that come out right now, they're going to have like a built-in iPod and all kinds of cool stuff. It's just growing so fast. So I'm excited about podcasting. I love Facebook. And yeah, I would have to say right now, I think Facebook is my favorite platform for Facebook ads, but even using my personal profile and leveraging that also for business. I don't do it. I'm not aggressive on Facebook. But when I get aggressive, you can actually, from your personal profile, get clients that way, if you do it in a non-douchey way.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely get a decent amount of clients just from my personal Facebook, because those are the people, that is when you're being the most genuine. And so, when you have your fan page, you're trying to have a certain type of persona usually. That's your business persona or whatever you're marketing or selling. And so in your personal page, you're just being yourself, and that's really selling yourself a lot better than trying to be something that you're not. So it's the authenticity that really helps you get new clients.
Yeah, totally. And if I add to Facebook, one thing that I'm super excited about because it works so well for me, so I need to share it here, is retargeting. And for anyone listening to this, if you're not aware what retargeting is, it just means if I send you to my website and you don't buy, as you go along with your day, you will see my ads following you around everywhere on Facebook, everywhere on other websites. In the past, only Coca-Cola or McDonald's had like a budget to do that. Now, you and me, the regular guy, for like 20, 30 bucks, you can look like a rock-solid brand, and I can have my ads follow you around everywhere you go on the internet, and it's so powerful for branding.
You definitely did follow me for a really long time. I was like, Mario, you are everywhere. I mean, whatever I was on, I saw you. It was for your last event that you had. And I was like, that is so funny because, I mean, as a marketer and someone who's into that, I was just so amused that you were following me everywhere.
Yeah, and for people who are not into marketing, but they're your prospects, they're just going to be blown away. Like, I'm getting private messages every day from people saying, how are you doing this? I registered for your webinar, now you're following me everywhere. And it's not just, I use it a lot for branding, but besides branding, like, to give you an example, and I don't want to get too technical, but for my last live event, I had 8,000 impressions. So how can I explain this? All the people who went to my website and who didn't buy, 8,000 times they saw my ads, and 8 out of them clicked back to it and bought. And the ticket was $400, and I spent $40. So was it worth it for me to invest $40 to get the branding, the positioning, and make, you know, 8 times $400? Absolutely. So retargeting, I'm excited about it. You should definitely do it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it too. That is super awesome. Well, okay, so we've got the business stuff, we did the marketing, but with all of that said and done, the whole point is to be able to live a life that you want, right? To have the lifestyle that you want, obviously to serve your clients and serve your customers and give them the best content and information that they need. But the reward for you doing that is having a lifestyle that you enjoy. And so was that a big driver for you getting into internet marketing? It was because you were able to be anywhere and still be able to deliver your message and deliver your products? Was that like a determining factor?
Yeah, it quickly became a determining factor, I can tell you that. When I Googled how to make money online, it wasn't my driving factor back then because I just wanted to get out of the day job and make some money. I'm honest about it. I just wanted to make some cash so I can get out of. I was working the graveyard shift, and in South Beach, if you worked the night shift in a hotel, it's crazy. You see some crazy stuff. You know, people after the party coming back to the hotel and fighting and drugs and like it's just crazy. And so I wanted to get out of there. And but then quickly, as I started making my first couple of sales with the $7 product, with my wife, back then my girlfriend, we went to the beach, true story, and I just was making like 4 or 5 sales. First time I come back from the beach, check my computer, and I had like 7, 8, 9 sales while I was on the beach in South Beach. And that was the first time when it hit us and it was like, wow. We literally just went to catch some sun, we came back and we made money while we were sunbathing. And that was to me like that huge aha moment, and I was like, okay, this stuff works, let's do this. And then I just went nuts, and since then I've been traveling all over the world. You know, I've been literally every year in a different country basically living, and we settled in San Diego right now in a nice resort style building. We go to Germany for 3 weeks. In a couple of weeks, my wife is in Ecuador. We go to Vegas, and it's just like, I'm not telling this to brag, but to showcase the lifestyle that's possible using online marketing, because wherever I am, I can do that. And the big thing for me here is, and then I'm going to wrap it up and let you talk again, if I have business here and I have lifestyle here, the way I picture the ideal business, and that's what I'm working on right now with Missionpreneurs, where I can bring them together. And I can combine my lifestyle with the business, doing like high-end, exclusive, exotic masterminds. Like, that's awesome. If I can bring my clients to Hawaii for like a week and we mastermind, but we also have fun and we go surfing, and like that's when I go like, whoa, like, and then we all go make a huge donation to charity, and I'm getting all passionate about it, because that's like how I picture the ideal freaking life, and that's what I'm working on with Missionpreneur, and I want to inspire everyone eventually to come to this where you combine the two. What do you say?
I love it, because I think that's where we are so similar, and everything that, it's so funny just listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing that, or I'm working to do that, and so that's great.
Yeah.
No, but before I get into even the mastermind, I was just thinking when you were saying that you made, some sales when you're on the beach, that I remember the first time that happened to me, and it seems like the more that I'm away from my computer, I make sales than when I'm at my computer. So I'm like, I should just go on vacation, because something seems to happen when I just go away, and people tend to buy things from me when I'm not near the computer. But I think that is the best part of being an online entrepreneur, and able to leverage that time, because you could have the laptop on the beach, but it's also better that you do your work wherever you are, and you can close your laptop and still be able to make those sales or close sales while you're doing something completely different. But in regards to the mastermind, I don't know if you saw on my website, but I'm actually launching 2 types of masterminds next year that I'm really, really excited about. And that was the merging point for me, was to be able to teach and train, but all over the world, so that it's fun for everyone that's involved and that gets to do that. And like you said, giving back and the pay it forward method, that's what it's really all about, or at least that's what it should be about. It's not just about making a ton of money so that you're the only one sitting on the beach, but being able to supply the information, help others reach their goals, and then give to other people and organizations that is not connected to the industry, but that is important to you, so that everything that you do has purpose. And that's why I love when I read your status about, starting the Missionpreneur, I was like, that's awesome. And so tell us a little bit more about Missionpreneur.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Sorry?
I said, who is the Missionpreneur?
Yeah, for sure. Just as a quick backstory, it's with online marketing, I love online marketing. I owe everything to it, and I was a long time in the really specific internet marketing niche, so to speak, where everything is a lot about making quick money and doing a lot of product launches and coming up with the next best thing. And I did that for a couple of years, and it was great. It served me well. But I realized, there's more out there, and that's not the type of people that I necessarily want to help. And what I mean by that is, I'm trying to work with people who actually really want to build a business, something that's like sustainable, something that is consistent, and where they eventually also want to make a difference. So it's just a slight tweak between the two markets, but that's kind of where I'm headed. So it took me the last 6 months, to be honest with you. I struggled with that, because every time when you go into a new direction, like I said before, it's not easy in the beginning. So I had to come up with my vision. I had to say, I had to let go of a world that served me so well, that made me a lot of money, and it's never easy to let go of that. But I had to, and it took me 6 months to come up with the confidence and with the commitment to really go into a new direction, where I say I'm only going to focus on helping basically speakers, authors, coaches, online marketers who are serious about their business, and help them with their online marketing. And I also want them to give back. I want them to be on a mission. So I was thinking about, how could I brand that? And and then after a while, just thinking and getting, becoming the confidence, I came up with Missionpreneur. I was listening to Shark Tank. There were some guys who had the mission belt. I don't know, I just saw Shark Tank, and they were creating belts, but they had this huge message about giving back, and I was like, oh, mission belt, Missionpreneur. So that's how I came up with it. And the idea is that it's only attracting people into my business and clients that actually have a mission of giving back, but also building a lucrative lifestyle business. So having the freedom, using online marketing strategies, and I help them with Facebook ads, live events, and all that stuff, how they create their own coaching programs. But at the same time, always keeping in mind that we are on a mission here, and I always encourage them to give back. I come up with charity ideas. I want to do a charity event where they can come and we can hang out and collect money, and then also give it back and give our time back. That's kind of like the high-level idea, so I have to come up with like an elevator pitch to put that in 2 sentences. Still working on that. Imperfect action.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it sounds great, and I think that everyone can get a sense of where you're going with it, and to me, that is the most important. I've always had this, even before I became an entrepreneur, I was very purpose-driven in the sense that I started my own college organization. It was all about diversity training and getting people to break down stereotypes, and everything was vision-driven, and giving back to the community, and I didn't know how I could make money doing it, so for a long time I was like, I'm just going to be poor and giving back, and then I realized that you can't be poor and give back, because it doesn't do it as much service. And so to be able to be in a position to make money, make more money, you can give more back to all the organizations and nonprofits that you really care about. And so that became a drive for me. That was one of my big whys to why I do business, which is to do business but do it better and do it in a socially ethical way where I can provide value to my customers and my clients, but also know that I have that pay it forward business model where it's about doing something bigger than myself and really providing others with more, with a mission, with the vision that's bigger. And I think that's where business really should go, which is why social entrepreneurship is on the rise. And that's where we should be focusing, because that's what's important. That's how you change the world, in doing business at the same time.
Exactly, I totally agree. So we obviously have the same mindset here. And yeah, that's how I came up with it. And you would think that after everything I shared on this call, doing this for 5 years, it would have been like this, let's just do it. But even with me, it took me literally 6 months to let go of the old world and commit to this. And, I'm getting a little bit more active again with my Facebook posts. I created the website missionpreneur.net. If you look it up right now, there's still in some tabs, there's no content, imperfect action style. So I have to actually today, this weekend, sit down and do some content, put some videos up. But you know what? That's just how I roll. I put it out there and I tell people about it. And now I tweak it. I had my live event 2 weeks ago, and Missionpreneur, it was something in my mind, and I offered it to people, and 8 people saw the value, and they're now in my coaching program for Missionpreneur. So even though I didn't have it already, I just, again, imperfect action, just put it out there, and you have to fully commit to it. I was in a mastermind the other day where someone talked about surfing, and he said it's actually dangerous if you don't commit to a wave. Like if you kind of try to help, if you're not fully committed, it can actually harm you, because if you're fully committed and you're on the board and you're in it, then you go for it. It's the same is true in business. Like the worst place to be in, and I learned this in the last 6 months, is if you're in the middle, if you kind of dabble. Because I was in the internet marketing world, but I wasn't passionate, and I was doing Missionpreneur, but not fully. So I was in the middle dabbling, and it's the worst spot, because the old world, they realize you're not fully committed anymore. The new people, they realize, it sounds good, but you're not fully committed, and then you're sitting in the middle dabbling. And the last 2 weeks that I'm really going for Missionpreneur, and people can tell when I talk and what I say, then people go like, wow, now we're feeling it. So I think it really starts with fully committing, and that's going to make the biggest difference for Missionpreneur. I'm not sure how I got off the track here right now, but it's just stuff that comes to my mind, and I have to let it out.
I mean, we're in flow. It's okay. We're in a state of flow, and we're just going with it. But I think the passion and the drive is so important. That's why I think you're great, because you do have the passion behind what you're doing and what you're saying, and people can get that from you, which is why they joined before you even really developed it. They joined because they wanted to be a part of the wave of Missionpreneur and everything that you're building out and how great it's going to be. So I'm sure. But I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing your growth in this new space that you're getting yourself into. So I'm sure that's going to be really exciting. And I know we've been talking probably almost an hour, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I have just a couple of more questions. The first is, who inspires you? You inspire a lot of people, but who inspires you and keeps you going?
It's I'm really into self-development, so some of the most life-changing things in my life I definitely owe to Tony Robbins, big time. In the beginning it was audio tapes, then I went to his events. And in terms of business, personally, relationship with my mother, the way I grew up, I had like a tricky relationship with her until I was 30, because I never shared what happened when I grew up. And then with Tony, he made me share it. And it turns out, I kept it always inside, and now that I share it, which was totally uncomfortable in the beginning, now it's like I'm inspiring people with my story. So I would have never thought that something that was eating me up inside, letting it out, is like now inspiring people to go for it, because they can relate. If other people grew up or they have someone in their family who had issues with drugs or alcohol, they relate with that. Or if other people are foreigners in this country and they also want to make it and they have an accent or whatever, they relate to me. So now they're actually relating to that. And so now every time I'm on stage or on video and I share, it's like therapy for me. After 30 years of keeping it inside, talking about it is like, letting it out. I kept it inside for 30 years, if that makes sense. Anyway, Tony Robbins is definitely one of the guys. I'm really into self-development. All of these guys, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, I really listen to all of them. it's really the self-development people. My mother, of course, you know, she was a single mother. She overcame all her struggles and still raising me and still making sure I have, you know, food on my plate. So huge inspiration for me. Let's see, my wife, she's a really go-getter. She's always supporting me, and she really keeps me on track with things. And
and you
I
guys
think,
are having a baby.
yeah, September, Oliver Maximus. Yeah, that's the name. So that's also exciting news.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
that. Yay.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people who are having babies this year, and it seems like a lot of them are due in September.
Yeah.
So September is going to be a booming month.
Yeah, it's like the #1 month or something. I didn't know that. And supposedly it's related to like Christmas time when people have
Maybe.
vacation.
Yeah, I guess so.
So they all end up being pregnant or having the baby in September. Yeah, but it's all the self-development people. Let's see. In business, in internet marketing, it was for a long time Frank Kern. I like, well, let's see. I don't even know where to start. There's a great book called The Go-Giver that really, I love that book, The Go-Giver. It's just, you can read it in 1 hour. It's written like a fiction book, but it's all about business messages, and I love it. I recommend it to everyone. So these are a couple of things that definitely inspire me. And anytime I feel down, I go to YouTube and literally just put inspiration, motivation, and I listen to motivation stuff. And you know what? In a heartbeat, you can really change your attitude, I think.
Awesome. So I think you've already answered this question, but it's how I usually end every call, which is, what is your bigger vision? And I know that Missionpreneur, it's the vision right now. Would you say that's your bigger vision, or what is the overall big vision for Mario Brown?
Yeah, I definitely think, no, not I think, it is Missionpreneur. You know, I have to get rid of I'm trying and I'm thinking. Like, we got to be careful with our languaging. So yes, Missionpreneur is the vision. And you know what? Ideally, I want to touch 10 million people with the ripple effect. And we often don't realize how many people we touch. Like, even if I'm on stage or if we send out this video, I don't care if like one person is watching this or 1,000. Like, if just one person gets impacted by what I just said or what you shared, and that's the reason why they built their own business or why they treat their wife better or their kids or whatever it is, then that's a huge impact on their kids and their kids, if you know what I mean. So with every podcast, with every video, with every time I'm on stage, every Facebook post, I'm aware that I want to inspire people. I made this the purpose of my life, inspiring people to live up to their potential. And the ripple effect, I always try to be aware of it. It's not easy because we only see the things directly in front of us, but I know if I can inspire you, and because of that, you now share that with other people, and you inspire them, and they inspire others, I have like a huge impact in the world, just like Tony Robbins did with millions of people. Like, literally because of him, I have a much better relationship right now with my mother, and she now is affecting other people. Does that make sense? And all the people that I train, they're now touching other people. So my number right now is 10 million, and I think I'm playing small here, so I should raise that and just inspire people to take their business and their life to the next level. I think it has to start with us, you, me, and a little tribe of new marketers who have more in mind than just making money. I think that's my vision, yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mario, for being on with me today. I want you to stay there. I'm going to end it, but then we'll talk after.
Okay,
but
cool.
thanks for being on with me and everyone. Well, before we go, where can they find you? Where can they check you out in all your amazing?
I mean, you can always look me up on Facebook. You know, just add me as a friend. If you want to check out Missionpreneur, go to missionpreneur.net. It's I'm working on it, but 2 or 3 days you will have some information there. And on YouTube, just put in Mario Brown documentary and check out my 10-minute documentary about my life. And I think it's going to inspire you to hopefully step your life also up to the next thing. That's where they can check me out.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right, everyone. Well, that will end today's Alive with Tiffany with Mario Brown. Go out there and make sure you live bold, create more, and you have an impact on your world. Until next time, we'll see you later. Say bye.
Bye-bye.